hot day, so let's enjoy it while we can. So I entitled this talk, Are You Enjoying Yourself? And am I asking you if you're having fun? No. Not quite that. And actually, asking if you're having fun, it always makes me think of the kid in the back seat. Are we having fun yet? You know, you told them this is going to be really fun, and it's like, are we having fun yet? Are we there yet? So we're not talking about that kind of fun. So back to the question, if we break it down, the prefix "n" means within. So the basic meaning is, are you finding that joy within? And the verb is reflexive. It's kind of it's yourself. It brings it back to yourself. So joy, the joy within, and yourself. So it brings us right back to the inner self. So are you and I finding this joy within? Are we finding this joy within? Or have we misplaced it somewhere? Have we lost it? Have we buried it like a precious treasure and now we can't find it? It's sort of funny, I was sitting around with some friends recently, we were talking about how in our old age we are sort of misplacing things around the house, maybe never to be found again. Sometimes I put things in such a clever place that it might be, it's kind of like buried treasure, you put it away so carefully, you might never find where you put it. And yet from time to time we get a glimpse. Something stirs in us. Maybe a child, an animal, a flower, and it arises spontaneously. I believe when that happens, it is bringing us back to our true nature, that spontaneous joy, playfulness that we see in little children and in animals before life gets too serious. And sometimes we may find that joy is there without a cause, just doing a little dance within, just humming. And in fact, some time ago, I was just sitting doing not much of anything, and I noticed that joy was there. And I wrote this little poem. This morning, for no reason, joy was dancing in my heart. Why are you here? I asked her. I don't need a reason, she replied. Don't you know me? I am you. So that brought me right back to myself, that it isn't even that I'm looking for joy and I find joy, it's that it's already there. It's already that spontaneous, that spark of divinity within. And from this experience, it's come to me that joy and other emotions such as love and compassion are expressions of our true nature. Our true nature as divine beings. We lose touch with our divinity, but moments arise that bring us back, that call us back. Sometimes it's a response to beauty, and I have another experience. I was kind of browsing through the internet one day, and I came across this photo of a lotus flower, and something about it just stopped me. I mean, this is weird. It wasn't the actual flower. It was a photo, and it was on the internet, but something just stopped me in my tracks. It kind of shook me. It felt like I was a bell, and the beauty of this particular photo, and I can't even remember what the photo was or who took it or whatever, it just shook me, and I wrote something else. Beauty rings me, sings me like a bell. I am shaken, rung true, struck clear by the beauty that surrounds me. So it's sometimes that little experience, that momentary experience that shakes us loose of our conventional, ordinary, day-to-day reality and connect us with that divinity within. It's a small incident, but a sense of coming home. Reminding me sometimes we get this sense of joy from children. If you remember, those of us who are parents, the first time our baby laughs. And I remember this very clearly with my firstborn son, and I was out I had him out with me in the garden, and he was in his pram, which is a big old English pram, sitting up in his pram. I think he was about 7 months old, and I was putting in a row of raspberries, and I was digging, and all of a sudden he just started laughing, like peal after peal of laughter. So of course I dug more exaggeratedly, and so he was laughing and I was just playing back with him. And it's kind of like that sheer delight in living, that sheer delight in being alive. It's like, wow, isn't life amazing? Isn't it fun? Isn't it? But fun in the deepest sense, like pure joy, pure exhilaration. And I want to share with you the story of Uddalaka and Svetakatu from the Upanishads. It's from the Chandogya Upanishad. And it's not exactly concerning joy, but it brings us back to who we actually are. And here it goes. Svetakatu was Uddalaka's son. When he was 12, his father said to him, "It is time for you to find a teacher, dear one, for no one in our family is a stranger to the spiritual life." So Svetakatu went to a teacher and studied all the Vedas for 12 years. At the end of the time, he returned home, proud of his intellectual knowledge. By this time, of course, he's 24. "You seem to be proud of all this learning," said Uddalaka, "but did you ask your teacher for that spiritual wisdom which enables you to hear the unheard, think the unthought, and know the unknown?" "What is that wisdom, father?" asked the son. Uddalaka said to Svetakatu, "By knowing one lump of clay, dear one, we come to know all things made out of clay, that they differ only in name and form, while the stuff of which all are made is clay. As by knowing one gold nugget, dear one, we come to know all things made out of gold, that they differ only in name and form, while the stuff of which all are made is gold. As by knowing one tool of iron, dear one, we come to know all things made of iron, that they differ only in name and form, while the stuff of which all are made is iron. So through that spiritual wisdom, dear one, we come to know that all life is one." "My teachers must not have known this wisdom," said Svetakatu, "for had they known, how could they have failed to teach it to me? Please instruct me in this wisdom, father." "Yes, dear one, I will," replied his father. "In the beginning was only being, one without a second. Out of himself he brought forth the cosmos, and entered everything in it. There is nothing that does not come from him. Of everything he is the inmost self. He is the truth. He is the self supreme. You are that, Svetakatu, you are that." And he goes on with example after example after example, that you, Svetakatu, are that. Tat tvam asi, you are that. And it's not just that this child was that, this young man was that, we all are that. And when they talk of the self in the Upanishads, it means the inner self, the true self, the divine being. It's not the little self, this little ego self. It's that divine being, and we all are that, every single one of us. Which brings me back to joy, funnily enough. If you get this in order. So it's talking about how indivisibly, inextricably we are part of that one. We call it God, we call it all that is, we call it Great Spirit, Creator, which are all words to express the inexpressible. And returning to the concept of joy, it's no accident that many of the names of Indian saints incorporate the word Ananda, which Ananda means joy or bliss. And a couple of examples are Ananda Mayama, who was a 20th century woman saint, and she basically lived in bliss, and she was kind of so blissed out that she really needed people to guide her through her life. And then there's a contemporary Indian saint, Amritananda Maya Devi, and she is the hugging saint. You may have heard of her. And again, it incorporates that word Ananda. And her name means the mother of eternal bliss. And often initiates are given this name when they take sannyas, when they go into as renunciates, they're given part of their name is bliss. And maybe that's used as a reminder to them that about what their true nature is. And there are many examples of saints who lived in bliss, so joy-filled that they really had a hard time connecting with the conventional world. An example of this is Ramakrishna, who was a beloved saint, an Indian saint. And his chief disciple was Swami Vivekananda, who actually brought yoga and Vedanta to the West. But sometimes Ramakrishna would be in samadhi, in deep, blissful contemplation for days at a time. But he had disciples around him who were able to guide him through the conventional life. And he also had a wife. He had taken a wife at some point, and she acted as a grounding cord for him. So some cultures, like often we know with the Indian culture, very accepting of people being blissed out. And here, if people act too blissed out, we think they're kind of crazy. We might send them off to a psychiatrist and get them on medication, kind of calm them down, because it's, you just don't act like that. So there is a need for balance. I mean, it's great to be in touch with that inner bliss, but we know we also have to function in the outer world, in the conventional world. And actually some of the completely enlightened beings did just that. They were able to function almost with one foot in the inexpressible joy of full consciousness, and one foot in the conventional world. And there was one Zen master who said, before enlightenment, chopping wood and carrying water; after enlightenment, chopping wood and carrying water. That sounds kind of dreary, doesn't it? But it brings me to a quote that I actually gave to Chris for this talk. And it's a quote from Rabindranath Tagore, the Bengali poet of the 19th, 20th century. I slept and dreamt that life was joy. I awoke and saw that life was service. I acted, and behold, service was joy. And let's unpack that quote a bit. I slept and dreamt that life was joy. Maybe Tagore is telling us that in our deep subconscious mind that arises during sleep, we know that life is joy, something we do not know in everyday consciousness. I awoke and saw that life was service. Oh my, I woke up and found that life was all about work, all about service, chopping wood, carrying water, a dreary coming back to conventional reality. Life is real, life is earnest, you have to work hard, you can take fleeting moments of pleasure here and there. And this is the conventional world where pleasure replaces true joy, becoming more like self-gratification, which unfortunately does not bring joy, or rather does not connect us to the joy of our true nature. I acted, and behold, service was joy. And then Tagore brings himself back to act in full consciousness, fully awake, and finds that when he acts in relationship with all that is, all his fellow beings, he realizes that this service is itself joy. It is when we step beyond our own needs and wants and act in service that we reconnect with our true nature. A side note here, actually, many initiate names include the word Das, like Ram Das, Krishna Das, and Das actually means servant. So many of the names that are given to people on the spiritual path include the fact of service, that we are in service. Ram Das means in service to Ram, God. Krishna Das is the same thing. So we are, when we connect with that, we realize we are in service to the divine. And when we look at being in service to our fellow beings, we are in service to the divine, because you are divine, and you are divine, and you are divine, and we are in service to that, which is very humbling. And going back to Tagore's quote, I slept and dreamt that life was joy. And my feeling these days is that joy is just another word for life, along with love, beauty, playfulness. And when I look at my veggie garden these days, this is kind of beside the point, but it's kind of a part of it too. It's admittedly out of control, not well behaved at all. My Chinese broccoli has become enormous. It went to flower and seed. And the cilantro is also in seed, and there's a riot of calendula flowers all over the place. The self-seeded themselves years ago, and I don't have the heart to pull them all up. So it's a riot of things growing. It's like a jungle. But there are honeybees all over the place, and bumblebees, and tiny native bees. It's exuberant, full of life, full of joy. So part of my joy is to serve the pollinators by allowing this exuberant growth to happen. It is a mess, and I love it. So I bow down in service to the bees and all the other creatures, and joy dances in my heart. I bow down to you all in service also. Thank you.